Season 11, Episode 3, Taking Their Shot Analysis by Daniel SPINO and Charlotte Wheatley. In last night's episode, Taking Their Shot, a wood sample from the borehole D5N 26.5 was C14 tested, and the results came back with a 55.6% probability of a date from 1735 to 1804 AD. This immediately was compared with the Duc d'Anville Rochefoucauld expedition and the ship's log that was found in the Nova Scotia archives in the R.V. Harris collection. It was referenced as a possible indicator of the construction time for the tunnel that the team is seeking. Later, core samples of large amounts of wood showed that it was worked by hand with an adze, and the tunnel is projected as being 7 to 8 feet in size. This left the team pondering why would such a large tunnel be needed. On Lot 5, Gary Drayton has a metal detector hit that discovers an old lead shot. He also uncovers what Gary postulates was a piece of a gun. Archaeologist Helen Sheldon renders her opinion that it was a gun site. It is bagged and tagged and taken to the Interpretive Center for further testing by archaeometallurgist Emma Culligan. Later, during more excavation work, a piece of what was identified as creamware is discovered in the excavation area on Lot 5. This is dated to the mid-1700s. At the Interpretive Center, it is revealed that the gun piece that was initially thought to be a gun sight was actually a middle ram rod guide from a musket. This dates to the same period as the creamware found and again referenced to the Duc d'Anville expedition and ship's log theory. The CT scan of the ramrod guide revealed what was referred to as Roman numerals, engraved in the piece and reminiscent of the Roman numerals on the U-shaped structure in Smith's Cove. At the end of the episode, another view of the Lot 5 excavation is shown with more defined excavation pits. Analysis. Compendium Investigations feels the wood sample dated from 1735 to 1804 fits perfectly with the settlement of Mahone Bay. The first settlers came to the area in the 1750 AS. The first lots were divided and part of a draw for new owners in the early 1760s. Robert Melvin is believed to have been the owner of Lot 5 and was also given Lot 6 as a gift from Philip Payzant for his friendship and service to his family. Melvin was part of the Massachusetts militia serving in the British Army that was stationed in the area during the massacre at Payzant's trading post on nearby Covey Island. Compendium Investigations suspects that the British were on Oak Island after the massacre and started to build a defensive structure fort. This most likely included tunnels that were dug to support the planned defenses. It is believed that due to peace treaties struck between the British and French indigenous peoples starting in 1760, the project was abandoned. In 1761, Melvin arrived back in the Chester area as a New England planter and acquired his first Oak Island lots in 1766. Compendium Investigations believes that Melvin was aware of the workings on Oak Island and were expanded and used by himself, Jonathan Prescott, Joshua Morga, and others to run a smuggling operation of goods to hide from the British and avoid paying taxes that they felt were unfair and exorbitant. Morga had a known history of questionable business dealings and was almost run out of Halifax by General Edward Cornwallis for dealing with the French. Morga avoided this fate by having very powerful connections. Compendium Investigation suspects that Oak Island was used as a hiding place for smuggled goods and were stored there until they were sold for profit. Jonathan Prescott, who would be the justice of the Peace of Chester, was one of Morga's closest associates, both having distilleries in Halifax. These lot owners were New England planters and were loyal to the American colonies during the Revolutionary War. Compendium Investigations believes that the scope of the smuggled goods expanded during this time to include weapons, gunpowder, and other necessary war supplies that were needed by the Americans. Compendium Investigations believes that there were others involved with Oak Island prior to the 1750s based on various pieces of evidence. As for the artifacts found on Lot 5, they are evidence of a British military early settler presence on Oak Island. The middle ram rod guide and the lead shot are consistent with other artifacts found on the island. On neighboring Lot 24 in Season 6, Episode 7, Rock Solid, Gary Drayton discovers a British musket ramrod that he believed belonged to an old Bess model, which would date to the 1700 to 1800s. Lead musket balls were also found on Lot 24 along with broken pottery. This mirrors the findings on the adjacent Lot 5. What was identified as Roman numerals were most likely personal, regimental, or inspection markings on the middle ram rod guide. In Season 8, Episode 24, Silver Lining, Rick Lagina finds a piece of pottery identified by Dr. Aaron Taylor as creamware. This was unearthed on the stone pathway leading to the upland from the swamp. It is very interesting that this same type of pottery was found during the Lot 5 excavation. Again, this is suggesting a British military early settler habitation on Oak Island in the mid-1700s. Watch for updates on these new artifacts in our continuing series called Artifact Alley. Please visit http://www.theoakislandcompendium.com for the entire article and more information. Good day from the compendium. Daniel and Charlotte.